Oh, welcome along, Bits and Bobs on a Friday. That feel good. Ronan Mullen, second time in a week being dragged into Bits and Bobs. He's a reluctant podcaster, but he ends up on the air quite a bit nonetheless. Hello, Ronan.
Hi, Joe.
And then it's been a while. Conan Doherty in the house.
Our first time in 4 weeks, Joe.
He is braced, everybody. What will come to be remembered as the Ballybuffet massacre is only 48 hours away, and he's counting down the minutes.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Space of a year, how things have changed. Donegal were the underdogs looking to ambush Derry last year. Now it's unthinkable that Derry would get anything in Ballybuffet.
We might touch on it later on. You've no great sneaking suspicion, hope, in short of a Derry surprise here, do you?
No, I said unthinkable there as if, well, how outrageous is that? I agree with it. It is unthinkable.
Will Slattery currently over in La Rochelle, actually.
Yeah.
The Munster fraternity.
You jealous?
No, no.
It does look like a cool away day. I know he's above the phrase. He said he only checks in with fandom for the Lions tour.
Only supports Lions.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm tired. Nothing sounds good right now except lying down.
Bits and Bobs is the only thing you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm jealous. I'd like to go there. Looks like a cool stadium.
You know, they've sold it out for every single game for about 6 years running. Now it holds 16,000, so it's sellable, outable. It's sell-outable.
Yeah.
But still, that's impressive. Though they released about 500 odd tickets back to Munster fans last week. The locals not impressed with this 8-game not winning streak. 7 defeats, 1 draw. So I guess Munster have a chance. We touched on all of that with Ian Madigan, Rory O'Connor this week. Been a long week.
You think so?
No.
We tried to go easy on you when you came back.
It was a long day yesterday, it seemed. I mean, you eased into the week, lovely, and I thought, this is perfect. This is what Joe needs.
No, last night I was just thinking to myself, and by that I mean moaning to my other half who doesn't need my complaints. He stoically kept it all in. No, he moaned. I was just saying, God, it feels
I'm
like
tired, you know? You wouldn't understand, but I'm tired.
Exactly. It felt like a long all week. This morning I did the thing you should do when you're tired, and I went to the gym. God, it's a regeneration.
Should do.
Oh, yeah.
What a push that is, though.
It's the only way to get, if you're tired and you're short in sleep, the one way to get yourself going is to get your blood pumping, get going.
Yeah, I have to tell you, actually, this is me opening up to you boys more than I ever have. In the last 9 months, I've done the least amount of exercise that I've ever done. Have a 9-month-old child, granted, but I never thought that would be me. And I've gotten lazy now as well, but it's also, when you're in the thick of it at the start, it's like, I could be using my time some other way. I could be doing something else to be more useful. And I tell you, that pattern lasts.
You feel any different?
I feel like I feel evidence of Joe now saying, I was tired this morning and I pushed through it and went to the gym.
Yeah.
I feel like, God, I used to do that, but I can't feel that in my veins right now.
You got to go easy on yourself. You're not being lazy. It's a harsh language to say,
Pretty much.
I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
You got to challenge that, don't you?
How do you feel when you're coaching and you're telling other people to run around?
I'd say you feel worse.
Yeah, that's a tough
I
one.
think it's tough to be watching all these people that you're training, like pushing themselves and feeling fit and glowing, and you're in the car on the way home and you're tired and sleepy and you're like, I'll just get some chocolate as a...
Yeah, there's that crisp bag there.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't it?
Tough.
It's a good question because I do a lot of the analysis for the team, and some of it is like, boys, we were talking about our standards, and look, we're not running back here. I'm telling people to run back, and when was the last time I ran running?
Yeah, it's very hard. When you're in a rut, hard to get out of it, and when you're in a nice habit, you don't even think about it.
What should I do?
Look, I'm in the kettlebells train at the moment, and paddle obviously when I can at the weekend. I moved up my 5'0" female coach that I scoffed at on YouTube. I've matched her weight now. I've 16 kg.
Oh, you've outgrown her now, right?
No. I've matched.
Okay.
I've matched 16 kg, and that'll be plenty for a long time.
Yeah.
I went to the gym, did a kettlebell thing for half an hour, watched it on my phone.
Can I? Yeah.
But it's.
You went to the gym and did it.
Yeah.
Why not just do it at home?
That's
Are
sweaty.
you one of those people who needs to change of scenery?
No, I've done it at home plenty. It's just that sweaty living room vibe. It's like get up and get out if you can. It's on the way to work, so I did.
Oh, you're annoying me now. Like you're triggering me.
Sorry, there's nothing worse.
Get up and get out if you can.
That's the only thing I've done all week, and
Nice plan of
tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I'm so unfit. The only question I have, right? So the best time to do it is in the evening. But then,
For you personally, you mean?
yeah,
Sorry.
that's where the most time is. But I don't want to get a shower and wake everybody up. The shower's right beside the bed. Do you know? Because I don't want to be sweaty then going to bed either. So what do you recommend to do?
I don't know. How loud's your shower?
It's very loud. He's got one of those pumps. I probably wouldn't wake anybody up. My wife has assured me. Maybe it's just another excuse.
Yeah, it's a bit of white noise, the shower.
Yeah.
You gotta listen, man.
Gotta listen.
This is it now. Are you going to get out of this rut, or are you going to let 3 years go by?
Yeah, I'll just never shower again or never exercise again.
More time on the exercise.
Yeah.
So, the week that was in your feed, this is just, largely to be ignored, bits and bobs. But also today, we have Brandel Chambly holding court on Rory's quest for the Masters. That will be in your feed. We had Ian Madigan and Rory O'Connor previewing the Champions Cup games at the weekend. By the way, Alex Nankivil has failed in his appeal against the red card, so he is out of the team. He's a big loss for Munster, although Peter O'Mahony's in. John Hodnett was a doubt, he is in. Tacker Abraham starts at full back, and Leinster's team is obscenely strong. There was an email in from Seamus. Ian Madigan is a revelation. All season on TV and podcast, Ian has been so interesting to listen to. So knowledgeable, fair to all participants and teams, so intelligent and interesting. I hope he continues to play a key role in analysis. And I always enjoy Rory O'Connor's articles and insight. And this format of the three of you brings out the best in his contributions. Thanks, Seamus. That's very nice. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that he noted Ian being fair to all participants was something he really valued, whereas we would think, oh no, you want a firebrand pundit who's controversial, but he quite liked it. We had football with Maeve de Burke on the women's national team. They have a Greek doubleheader starting this evening, and Damien Delaney as well, talking Premier League on the Merseyside derby offside conversation we had the other day. Owen Doherty points out we didn't much like the rules. On the offside rule talk yesterday, it's really, really important to remember that any rule the game follows has to be writable. I would challenge anyone to rewrite the offside rule to be better than it is now. Challenge not accepted.
Yeah. I did ask Joe to do this and he flatly said no. So
You asked him to rewrite it?
Rewrite the rule, because we read it out on the podcast yesterday. I know you were listening, Colin.
Oh, I was listening.
You had some thoughts on our football show yesterday.
Choked on my lunch at the Rashford conversation.
But surely it's not that hard. You just, if a player takes up a position that affects an opposing player, then it's offside.
Precisely. Done.
Yeah.
Done. We did that in 5 seconds flat on Doherty.
We just fixed it.
It's a dreadful rule. It should be amended immediately. It's a very simple rule change.
I think so.
Yeah.
You would think so. Because they're so particular with the line of sight and that kind of stuff like that. So I wouldn't say what I just said there is vague.
No.
And
would apply perfectly to Wednesday night's example. James Tarkovsky's wife, by the way, Samantha, has shared an Instagram post revealing the many, many death threats family are being sent. The level of abuse my husband is receiving, wishing death on him, vile comments about me, us as a couple, about him as a person, it's beyond disgusting. It sure is. I'm not sure what you can do about it, really. Also this week, we previewed the championship with Pat Spillane and Philly McMahon. 8 All-Irelands each.
I was proud of you, Joe. You didn't go for the obvious gag.
I've done that a lot. Then.
Have you?
Yeah. I would have done that between the three of us thing plenty, so I didn't. Pat has 9 All-Stars to Philly's 2.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're pretty even. 12 Leinsters to 12 Munsters, for instance.
2 feels a bit harsh on Philly.
Do you think?
Yeah, because I remember there was a couple of years I thought he was going to win Footballer of the Year. I actually had a bet on him one year that he was going to win Footballer of the Year. That was the level that he was at. So when I look back on his career and he had 2, it didn't seem right.
Yeah. And then sadly, unexpectedly, we had Pat Spillane on for a second time in the week after the passing of Miko Dwyer. He was on with Martin Breheny. Miko passing away at the age of 88. And I'm not exaggerating. Very few people have walked by today without coming over to say they were very affected and touched by Pat Spillane. So here's just a sample of Pat speaking to us yesterday.
Miko, I worshipped the ground that Miko stood on. My father died at 8 years of age, and Miko, for a lot of my life, was the father figure I never had. The thing about me as a footballer, I wasn't blessed with the skills of the Cliffords and the Morris Fitzgeralds and the Gooches. They had more skill in their small toe than I had in my entire body. But Miko saw something in me. I was raw, I was eager, and I give 100%. In the 15 years I soldiered with Miko, not a bad word ever crossed between myself and Miko. I suppose in a way, one of the reasons was he had 2 pets on the team. One was Bomber, and I think I was the second pet because he knew I'd run through the wall from, and I'd come back again through another part of the wall that hadn't been knocked down yet. He filled you full of belief, but you came away after talking with Miko 10 foot tall. There was no one could stand in your way. That was Miko.
It was a very beautiful tribute all the way through. It was more affecting again if you watched it because Pat had tears streaming down his cheeks, which wasn't always evident in his voice. And it's not in that clip, but actually the part of it which has resonated most with me and a few other people is when he talks about the last time he saw Miko, which was relatively recently. He said, he had been seeing him, but in more recent times, as Miko's quality of life had diminished and health had diminished, he found it difficult to go and see him and therefore stayed away. But when he got the phone call that now would be a good time to come in and say your goodbyes, he went in and he said he had 15 minutes alone with him. And I don't know why, but a few people have said it. When Pat said, I held his hand for the whole 15 minutes. I held his hand for the whole 15 minutes and I thanked him again and again and again. That holding of the hand seemed to trigger something in a lot of people. Maybe it's because men of that generation, of all generations probably, we aren't tactile with each other. I mean, there's bear hugs for sure, and we go in for that and we're comfortable with that, and sometimes kind of high five handshakes and that kind of stuff. But holding another man's hand would not be really in our vernacular lexicon of things that we do. And the thought of it was just really beautiful, so sad, but really beautiful.
I also liked the bit where he described himself as one of Miko Dwyer's pets, like Bomber Liston was the other one, and also on that point where he expounded a little into that in 15 or so years or 20, where they were in each other's sphere, not a crossword between them, which is kind of revelatory of like high achieving people. You would suspect a little bit of friction, but for that, either Miko identified Pat Spillane as someone who didn't need that sort of management, or quite the opposite, where I need to be a bit more like, he obviously got something out of Pat Spillane that Pat didn't even know he had in him, so that was admirable. But like, we've talked to so many elite GA players over the years, and they'll speak warmly of past coaches but not reverential like that. Like, that was just it was incredibly moving, I have to say. Like, it was really, really struck me.
Well, I think most of us had known Pat Spillane's father had died young.
Yeah.
And most of us had known that, well, as a teenager, he came under Miko's influence. I hadn't put the 2 and 2 together that it suddenly when he said it, it was just so obvious where he said he was a father figure, and they spent a lot of time in the car together, travelling to games, whatever the logistics were. And as soon as he said it, I thought, my God, yeah, that makes perfect sense, of course.
The father I never had for those years, and what a tribute. Imagine all the stuff that Miko's done, but having that impact on lives and Pat Spillane's life, it's like, geez, that's like the best thing that he's done, really. Like, it's unbelievable that that's how he's remembered and how somebody's talking about him now. Like you say, tears streaming down his face. And I mean, Pat's got a great turn of phrase, and I think it's because he really feels what he's saying as well. So it's just the way he's talking about, I'd run through a wall for him and I'd turn around and run through another part of the wall that hadn't been knocked down yet. And like, you just know the impact that Miko's had on him, even just as a player, never mind the rest of his life. But I was thinking about this last night. I'm so into tactics. I love everything that goes into coaching and how teams are built, but still nowadays the best thing that any manager can do is getting players to go to hell and back for them, getting players to run through the wall and come back and go through it again. And that's obviously what Miko was so good at, and it's so obviously still what the best managers are so good at. Well,
even like a very good tactic carried out by men on a mission versus an exceptional tactic carried out by men who aren't fully behind it. There's only one winner, so that spirit is still so crucial when it comes to sport.
I've been in teams before, where you have a really slick coach, and then somebody else comes in and they're a bit more rudimentary, and it's frustrating players because they're not as slick. But the players actually want to help out in that scenario. They want to help push things through for that manager just because they like him more and because obviously he's inspired them more.
Probably. Like a lot of our generation, you probably underappreciate Miko the footballer as well. Like I was reminded yesterday, I'd known about he was an All-Ireland winner, but 4 All-Irelands, and I hadn't appreciated 2 of them came after he broke 2 of his legs in the same year. Broke 2 legs at once, and wins Footballer of the Year to win his third All-Ireland after breaking his two legs. Okay.
Got the stuff.
Fair enough, he had the stuff. Started off in the backs, became silky forward, so...
Martin Brennan was in that conversation, as you mentioned. Had some great detail on his playing days, which again wouldn't be top of mind for a lot of people. But you must have very fond memories of his Kildare era, because I saw some pictures doing the rounds yesterday, and KFM, I believe, played back match commentary of, was it the All-Ireland semi-final? I think they played. So put themselves back in that era, but just pictures of the hill covered in white, like just a movement like akin to what Donegal probably experienced under Jim McGuinness the first time around, where it's a movement. So you must really remember that.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I would have been 12 and 13, kind of those 3 games against Meath in 97 were epics. 98 was incredible. It was, because Kildare's obviously a football mad county, and that's often said about Kildare. And like pretty barren times, 40, 50 odd years since their last Leinster title. Considering big population, football by a distance ahead of hurling is the sport, and yet can't quite manifest at county level. So, look, I don't remember when he first arrived in Kildare in 1990, but he was just always there as I was growing up. And movement is a good word for 98, and it fits just so readily in with the 90s, and maybe it is kind of rose tinted glasses, but I think the 90s, we can safely say we're special in many ways. So, it's sunny, the hurling championship was so alive, and then there's Miko and Kildare, and the county just went bananas, in the best sense. Every town you drove through had like decked out in white. I always remember in Selbridge, where I was from, it was like, you're invited to a wedding this Sunday. Lily White's marrying Sam Maguire. It was all this kind of stuff. That's just, you can just see it in your head now. And he was obviously charismatic, warm. You've Charlie McCreevy on national television after they win the semi-final against Kerry. Like in that kind of, it'll be all cordoned off and a bit sanitized now, but he's, there's Charlie, everyone's around him and it's sweaty, and Charlie on national TV on the Sunday game live is like, how does it feel, Charlie? He's like, it's better than sex. So geez, Technicolor. So it's amazing, and I'm sure Laois was the same. And it's great.
That year, like, not to again rose tinted glasses about a different era of Leinster football which used to exist, but like
as Dublin go for their 15th Leinster title,
Laois was amazing. Like again, similar movement, and then Paddy in Westmeath, like it was just
good. It's good.
The colour and vibrancy, but like I'm not bemoaning Dublin doing what they're doing, but it is nice when, I don't know, this like it's like a western, like totemic figure from out of town comes in, raises the whole village, and then away into the sunset. That was happening on the regular.
I was fortunate enough to sit down with Miko a few years back, and he said that he only went to Kildare for 6 months. And he ended up staying for, in his words, an unbelievable amount of time then, and obviously created an unbelievable journey. Yeah,
it was beautiful. That great photo a couple of years ago when a few of the Kildare stalwarts went down to visit him in Waterville. It's really nice. So that's kind of that's all waiting for you in your feed, and then Spillane and Philly McMahon previewing the championship as well. But Pat Spillane's brilliant.
He's great.
Honestly, like in a landscape of fairly dull pundits. God, it was weird to talk to someone who was like, "That's rubbish. This is stupid." Just in plain language, just telling you what he thought and backing it up as well. So delighted he's going to be on across.
But also little things that people said to me, which I've watched a good bit of Kerry, but not every game all year. Like that David Clifford is less readily kicking off his weaker right foot. It's not a really cool observation, because he's obviously amazing off his left foot, but like he would have been swinging point, and he possibly has his confidence knocked a little, where I'm not infallible and I can kick from every conceivable angle. So Spillane was able to pick up on that, and also the incoming dynamic between Paddy Clifford and Sean O'Shea when he's back, like where that works in the with the new rules. So really good tactical insights.
No, brilliant. He was really good. So he'll be on across the summer. We're delighted to say. So that's us this week. In terms of other things to touch on, by the way, I was just reading the paper this morning when I was not writing the new offside rule. Page 43, Dan McDonald's writing about Evan Ferguson and his struggles. And this is why you should always read to the end, because it gets to almost the very last column and the second last paragraph, and he was just touching on how, okay, tricky during the week, hooked at half time and all that. And but Bulgaria's a great moment for him. But he was talking about how you can feel a bit sorry for a 20-year-old. A lot of questions, and he just writes here of the night at the Aviva. Again, we're relying on the FAI here. Just keep that at the back of your mind to save Irish football, to run Irish football, to sort things out. So Dan says here, it was easy to feel sympathy for the 20-year-old in the aftermath at the Aviva Stadium when he was accidentally diverted to the main press conference room and had to conduct his own media session, taking questions about the weight of expectation on his shoulder. Yeah. So he was meant to go a quick, one-person camera thing, and he was accidentally shown into the main... Imagine this, you think, oh no, Evan, you're just doing a one-on-one piece, 5 minutes with FAI TV. Okay, grand, yeah, because, it's been a tricky time. And then, just through the here, Evan, you open the door, you're in the main press conference arena. All the journalists there, oh, we have Evan Ferguson, brilliant, didn't think we were getting him. And it's like, you've walked in, you can't walk back out, so you have to sit there at 20 years of age. I texted Dan to say, is that right? Accidentally, is that right? He said, that is correct.
Yeah.
That was not the plan. But he ended up in... It's like when Hugh Grant is writing for Horse and Hound and gets shimmied in to interview all the other actors he wasn't planning on.
When you unfollowed the English Sport podcast when you were off, Dan was on.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned this.
About this. Yeah, but that was really good. There was nothing there that wasn't worthwhile bringing up. But Dan was talking about Evan coming in, but he's on his own as well. And there was nobody to say it's over. And I was like, I wonder at what stage, maybe Evan Ferguson didn't realise initially. Maybe he thought I'd just go on here to answer some questions. But I wonder, was it 7 minutes in where he was looking around being like, there's nobody here to take me out of here?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here. Did he realise at some point during those questions, I'm in the wrong bloody place here?
I'd say he realised straight away.
Dan was saying he managed it very seamlessly. No one interrupted each other. Everyone got a question in, and then he left. So,
sorry, he had to conduct the press. He had to say
Joe, you're next.
Dan McDonald, back right. He had to do that.
I think he just. Well, again, Dan, when he was capably filling in for you, might have been bringing up the effects a little bit. But basically, it seemed the visual he painted was that he was working his way around a half circle, and everyone got their question, and then he left.
Evan!
You'll all get your question.
Yeah.
You're next.
He's not talking about that. God. Listen, we're in safe hands, everyone. They know what they're doing over there.
By the way, that image of you holding that paperclip was very Terry Wogan.
What paperclip?
That
oh, yeah, I
clipping.
I clipped it.
Yeah.
I thought it was an old match report with Joe Malloy written on it.
Page 43 today in the paper. Other things going on. There was football last night in the Premier League. Chelsea won, Spurs no. Spurs never win at Stamford Bridge. That's just the way that is. This is now a 16th defeat in the Premier League for Spurs. Things are getting a bit sticky for Ange Postecoglou. So on 64 minutes, he made a substitution. He took off Lucas Bergevall and he brought on Pape Sarr. And what's reported to be a small section of away fans booed. And they were chanting, "You don't know what you're doing," which is never great. Now, when Sarr scored a goal, there was a subdued reaction from Postecoglou, and he then cupped his ear in the direction of the travelling Spurs fans. The goal was also ruled out, obviously. Craig Pawson, after 8 minutes, 6 minutes.
Of course it was.
Yeah, foul on Casado. Correctly ruled out, just took forever to get there. So, naturally, Patrick Davidson was on the scene, and I guess this is not a good dynamic between coach and away supporters. So Patrick Davidson asked Ange what was going on.
What happened with you and the supporters tonight, Ange? Well, no, because they booed the substitutions you made. Yeah. Bergvall for Sarr, and when Sarr thought he'd scored, I saw that you looked at them. You heard the chants. You don't know what you're doing. You heard that?
No, mate. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know. You don't think you looked at the supporters?
No, I did. Yeah. I wanted them to be happy, mate. We've just scored a cracking goal, so I wanted them to, I was listening, I wanted them to cheer because they haven't had a lot to cheer about.
Fine. So that was nothing to do with the substitution being booed. If it's a no, it's a no. I've got it wrong. Fine.
First time my substitutions have been booed. If you followed my sort of tenure, it's not the first time, and they're allowed to boo, but I wanted them to cheer because I thought it was a cracking goal.
Yeah. Okay. But look, you said in the week you did an interview with Mark Schwartz, and you talked about losing a large portion of the Tottenham fans. Yeah. Is that what we saw tonight? Do you feel like you've lost some of them?
I get it, Pat. You're trying really hard. That's fine. Look, you can pay. Look, you've already decided what the outcome is. My outcome tonight is it was a really tight game. I thought decided by a really poor decision, and apart from that, everyone got through healthy. We got some great minutes into some guys, and we moved to Sunday.
You sent on a video of his reaction when the goal was scored. I sort of said to you, I sort of buy what he's doing there.
And I said to you, as you get older, you're supposed to get more cynical, not peace and love.
That's actually a polite version of what you said. So I went back and looked at it again. I think maybe what does Ange here is he cups his ear. So you could argue he's like, come on, guys, get excited. But then what he does is like waves at them in a very
inflammatory
kind of, I see you. Oi, you guys. Yeah, look at you now. Hey. That's obviously not good with your own fans.
No, I agree.
A cup in your ear is inflammatory anyway. Like, there's no other context you're ever doing that in.
No, I hear you. I just thought, maybe he's doing it like, the way the Mourinho would be like, come on.
Exactly. Come on. Tim Sherwood threw the Gile off. Come on, let's go. But cup in your ear is like, what are you thinking me now?
Yeah, it's not a great dynamic. He was in kind of, him and Pat, I love that, are kind of tetchy all the way through. So like, I mean, Davidson knew what he was doing. He's asking the man who hates VAR more than anyone else in the world about the VAR decision, which was took an eternity. So you can even just hear, we won't play the full answer, but just right from the off. Ange just not loving this.
Look, Pat, you can try and force me into a corner.
I'm not trying to force you into anything.
You are. Did you think last night was a red card? Was it clear and obvious? Yes. Okay. How many minutes did it take this referee to figure out whether it's clear and obvious? In your just basic knowledge of human, vocabulary.
I thought he was going to say of
what
football.
Does that suggest to you that on the first replay, is that clear and obvious? If you have to watch something quite a few times, is that clear and obvious?
No, it's maybe not clear and obvious. I do think it's a foul, if I'm honest.
Don't, Pat, don't.
So
don't.
There you go. So the referee didn't see it. He then has to see it for 6 minutes.
But that's the kind of
the right outcome, so you're happy and
dynamic with him and Pat. And then at the closing of the interview, it's like it's just well, here it goes. So they're done.
All right.
And you saw enough for Thursday. But that's because the season hinges on that ultimately, doesn't it?
No, we've got to get Sunday first. We've got to go out there on Sunday. I think it's important that we continue to play.
Okay. Yeah. Ange, there's no agenda. I
No,
promise.
that's fine, mate. No worries.
The best part was the very first clip we're talking about there. Pat winds him up so much and then just says, that's fine. Anyway, and then Ange's reaction, like, it's not fine. You can tell that's what he's thinking. It's not fine. You've annoyed me.
Yeah. I feel they're okay with each other, though.
Yeah, I often wonder, having worked in various areas of broadcasting, I've never actually experienced the whole tetchy interview and then on TV. It's just never seen it. So I wonder what actually happens. Does he just get whisked away to do
Well, Ange just walked off.
CBS or something?
Well, Ange is already walking off when Davidson says, Pat, no agenda. Like, Ange is kind of looking back going, okay, thanks, Pat, bye.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're not staying for conciliatory chat afterwards. But I think it's like a all is fair kind of a vibe.
When Martin O'Neill used to do RTE,
well, that was different.
That was different.
Yeah, but a lot more
different
productions now are showing, just peek behind the curtains, are showing the sort of rough around the edges parts of it. I think that's better content now, and they should be showing that more. Like, say, the famous Roy Hodgson interview. That's a way better interview. Show that. Match Today didn't show that night.
But he dropped about 10 F-bombs.
Yeah, but bleep them out. And even that, show the bits at the end where the manager, I'd say in most cases, the manager says, you knew what you were doing there, and then walks off or whatever. Just let it play for an extra.
Technically off the record, I'd say.
You need the Wayne Mardle approach where you just don't tell him he's on live and then he just gives his real opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're live now.
These are the questions you should be asking me on air.
There you are on TV.
What did he say? You're supposed to say it when we're on, which is fair. So that's Spurs. That's looking a bit. Kevin De Bruyne has announced he is saying goodbye to Manchester City. He is 33 years of age. Don't know yet where he's going. I guess this is to be expected. His body has sort of deserted him. What a player. I mean, is the kind of an obvious thing to say. Some would say the greatest midfielder that we've seen in the Premier League era. Not kind of a central midfield player per se, but I guess enough of one that you can throw him under that umbrella. A right foot equal to Beckham, would we say? I would say close-ish, if not even.
Oh yeah, I think so.
From dead balls, maybe less so, but in general play for sure. And then obviously just a better all-round player, more variety to his game. So probably, joint best crosser, we'll say, with Beckham and maybe Trent.
Why do I feel uncomfortable with that? I don't, is it because Beckham was part of the 90s that we're talking about, and I want everyone to realise, no, you don't realise how good it was back then.
I guess the thing about Beckham was exclusively a crosser.
Yeah.
That is my thing. That's what I do. Whereas that was just one of the many cards, if I'm Kevin De Bruyne, that I like to play. And so it's kind of, it feels wrong to say, the crossing wasn't even his main thing. But he could dip out there and match the greatest crosser we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that feels a little, it's hard to know. But all round, you'd say like the best passer, distributor, I think we've seen in the Premier League. I had not realised he scored 100 goals, 106 goals in 400 odd appearances. And all the little clever touches and assists. And then the stats are kind of scary. Look, I know he's playing in a dominant team. But so since 2015, the most Premier League assists, since 15 this is, the most chances created, 800 chances created. Big chances, 200. Second most assists in Premier League history. He's only behind Ryan Giggs. And obviously Giggs' longevity. It's kind of nuts. And then alongside Thierry Henry and Cristiano Ronaldo for the only player to have 2 Player of the Year awards. And he is level with Henry for the most assists in a single campaign. 20 assists in 1920. The 2019-2020 season, so 20 assists that year. Only him and Henry have managed to get to 20. He was just a joy to watch, and he's this kind of angry, snarling presence. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, the temperament didn't match the silkiness of the football. He was like, I'm playing angry too. So amazing.
The temperament really matched the transition to him going inside, and no, we're saying he's not a central midfielder, but he was a winger. Start off with, he was somebody just out in the touchline crossing, lovely balls in. Then he went and ran the show with Man City, and he was driving runs. I know the system was obviously set up to help him, but my God, did he make the most of it? And
powerful runner, underrated runner, wasn't he?
Direct runner.
Like I think Gerrard, and I think that was a powerful runner. Maybe the most powerful runner we've seen almost in midfield in the Premier League. But De Bruyne was sneakily high up in that department.
It was the intent of his first touch. Like if he got any pass that was behind him, it was just that drag in front of himself. He just dragged the ball from behind, push it 15 yards, and bang, away we go.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, and this is probably why I'm not thinking of him in David Beckham terms, because I'm thinking he's going to lace this now. He had those different types of shots then because he was in a different position, obviously.
Do you remember he was out for a lot last year and he came back at Newcastle away? And I powered them. There was a degree of, I'm here now. I'm going to save the season, and he did. There was an assist he had at the end of that game where the player didn't even see the pass was on.
Yeah.
Hatton made the run. It wasn't on.
Oscar Bob.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on from the height of the TV camera gantry. And yet De Bruyne saw it, and also by the brilliance of the pass forced Bob to make the run and score the goal. And you're like, this is his first game back, really. Amazing player.
It is funny because potentially his body type when he was back would give the impression that it would take him a while to readjust. Like, I hate putting people in broad categories, but like would have been said about Wayne Rooney that he needs to play regularly to get into match sharpness. But like in terms of getting to the flow or the pitch of how the game is being played, he was amazing at that. Like you could drop him in and he'd pick it up fairly quickly.
Where'll he go? Saudi, will he?
He probably has
33.
Yeah, like I'm surprised, like just looking at the news report today, that 2015, it doesn't seem like he's had a full decade in the Premier League. You know?
Yeah.
So like his tenure is, like I wouldn't even compare. Like I think Yaya Toure is arguably Man City's best player of this era. Or,
Yeah.
But then I'd have him like very close, if not ahead of him. Like I think those two, you can categorise them with Bernardo Silva and David Silva, but I think those two are probably a level above.
Aguero as well, yeah. Yeah.
Vincent Kompany, obviously. But I'm talking more midfielders. Like De Bruyne and Yaya weren't as replaceable and haven't proven to be as replaceable as Bernardo Silva and David Silva probably will be.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Bought from Wolfsburg for 55 million. Good business.
And we gave Jose Mourinho a good love in yesterday, and I'm a big fan of Jose too, but he didn't really see.
No.
He missed the mark with De Bruyne and Salah in the same Chelsea team. You're like, that's not great.
It's not great.
Not great.
So he's gone. Other things going on. We'll touch on the GA weekend in a moment. Scott McTominay did an interesting interview in The Athletic on Wednesday, which you quite liked, with Rory Smith. he was misprofiled at Manchester United, he reckons. So yeah, speaking of, I want to, like, McTominay made 250 appearances for United. You sort of think like, oh, he never quite happened and came and went, but like he was brilliant for a long time. So he said, when I got into the first team at United, I was misprofiled. It wasn't the fault of the coaches. My strengths have always been getting into the box, scoring goals. That's obviously what he's doing for Napoli now in a big way. Scoring goals, being a problem in there. But I was being used as a number 6 or a centre back. That's never been my game growing up. But when you're playing for United and you're 20, you can't really knock on the door and say, can I be number 8 ahead of Paul Pogba? It's not realistic. You have to know your place. Kind of a Darren Fletcher aspect to that as well. He was more of a goal scorer growing up. Last few seasons, I began to get in the box a bit more, score more goals. But obviously at Napoli now, it's all happening, which was kind of interesting. And then he had controversial thoughts on tomatoes.
Yeah, he said, on Italian food generally, he said, and this is a quote directly, "Oh my goodness, the tomatoes, bellissimo. I never ate them at home. They're just red water. Here they actually taste like tomatoes. Now I eat them as a snack. I eat all the vegetables, all the fruits.
There you go.
So fresh, it's incredible."
This is so disappointing. This is somebody who's gone away for the first time and then they can't shut up about it when they come home. He's like, well, in Italy,
I'd say the food in that part of the world is not bad.
Like,
it's
McTominay famously birthed our Wicked conversation from a few months ago, where I was like, it's not about aptitude, it's the way you're viewed. And that's exactly what he's saying here, because like,
I've no memory of that. Was I there for that?
You were there for the Wicked conversation. It was a whole week of content.
Like that one.
I've been very tired a lot of the time.
Anyway,
so good on him.
so he was like part of the McFred combo where he was like screening the defence.
Part of that whole United era. I mean, like you look at Rashford now, just absolutely flourishing. At Aston Villa. I mean, McTominay did bring that into his game.
McTominay was also good at Man United.
He was brought through by Mourinho, to mention him again, because he was the perfect Mourinho prototype. Like, he was tall, strapping, athletic, got around the pitch.
Strapping.
He was strapping.
Go on.
He's strapping.
Big strapping lad.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good player.
But so there was a crucial moment in the Pogba Mourinho relationship. I think it was against Sevilla. It was at the Football Heritage match. Yeah. Remember, in the press conference, he was like, Man United Football Heritage, after Sevilla knocked them out. He picked McTominay to start that game ahead of Pogba. And then he invented an award. Basically, he invented the manager's player of the year and got like some vase from Carrington and handed it to McTominay at the award ceremony.
Most improved player.
So he was Mourinho's, chosen one. I think from an early point.
For a lot of the fans, I couldn't believe they were letting him go.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's a good point, because we're slagging Mourinho for De Bruyne and Salah. Those oversights. I know it's not the same level, but Amorim.
It's not the same level. Don't go where you think you're going here.
Rashford.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like these managers they're not seeing something that these players have. I mean, you have a manager at Manchester United who's overseeing the 14th best team in the league and has decided, well, we don't need that player. You have a club that are happy enough to go without McTominay. Meanwhile, Rashford is tearing it up at Aston Villa.
Okay, but I mean, let's see if Rashford wins the war there. He's having a little burst now and he's got a point to prove.
I think
jury is out on Marcus Rashford and his attitude.
I think Rashford could give Villa 3 amazing years, and if the 4th year is a bit of a downturn, Ronan will say to me, I told you so.
Conan, one word answer. Will Aston Villa sign Rashford in the summer?
They would like to.
One word answer.
They would like
one
to.
word answer.
How much money? Like,
the criteria.
We can't.
Should they?
If they could. The wages are too high. We can't take the wages out of that.
He's a great player, but we don't want him.
You're only like one of the richest clubs in the world now.
We would love him. Yeah. And like, this is a guy that...
Do you think he's going to keep on doing his thing?
No, I'm just talking about like, so...
He's held to a different standard now.
I mean, this is going on for 2 months now. This is 11 games.
Sorry, he's been good for 2 months.
Yeah, this is form now.
He's been grand for a month.
This is February, March, and now April.
11 games against top flight opposition, 1 goal.
This is on
that's the standard now.
Like Asensio is sitting there every day going, why is no one talking about me?
Oh, we are talking about it.
But the Rashford things have been a bit overplayed.
No, you said that as well. I almost I didn't like that because sorry.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
I've got my rap sheet here. So, I think the idea, what you were trying to get at was,
I think we got at it.
It was like, the standards should be higher of Marcus Rashford. But this is a guy that decided that Xerxes and Holland were more useful then. Like we'd rather have these two playing for United. So that's the standards at Rashford.
They actually ran around a little bit.
It was
This is a player-
an attitude thing. Come on now.
This is the player who Amram said the goalkeeping coach would be more useful. So that's the standards that I was judging him off, and he's way more useful than the goalkeeper.
You wouldn't stand for it at Scaries if a player who you knew was talented didn't run.
You're forgetting the memes. Player in possession, Rashford standing next to him, picking his nose.
And
It says a lot about him.
Yeah.
That he goes to Villa and ups his work ethic.
What's McTominay? McTominay's
that
a much
about?
better player.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, McTominay was playing in the
Hang on.
last, like you said.
It's a different thing. McTominay was really good for United and always tried. And
Yeah,
then
McTominay never stopped trying.
unbelievable.
If McTominay was that good for United, they would have kept him. Though.
No. They shouldn't. They should have kept him.
Let's keep Christian Eriksen.
Hang on a second.
Rashford's more talented than
It's
McTominay.
a different. You're not. You're bending the truth here. McTominay, class attitude, really good player. Nobody bar like the people running the club thought he should have been let go. He was let go. Rashford's a different scenario completely. Rashford was more talent than McTominay, higher stock in world football than McTominay. Terrible attitude. Like from Amram's point of view, this guy, his attitude is appalling, but I'm going to give him more chances. Rashford declined to take those chances. Rashford's off in Belfast, not turning up for training, like stinking the joint out on the pitch, work rate wise. So it gets to a point where Amram says, he's a really good player, but I can't work with this guy. And then, successive managers have had this one at Rashford, and then he goes to Aston Villa, and it's like, oh, I'm going to run around now like a professional player should. It's actually an indictment of Rashford.
Because I've got a system now that actually makes sense when I run around. I'm not on my own.
You don't need a system to run.
I'm not going to bear the brunt of this shambles of a club, never mind team, on my shoulders if it goes wrong.
For all his failings, Bruno Fernandes will run around and try. Harry Maguire, like being mocked, will try. There is no excuse for not trying. And Rashford now, if the system wasn't good, the team weren't going well, how could I try? Well, you just try.
Yeah, well, you could drill down on that, and I probably am being a bit obtuse here. But but Bruno Fernandes runs around too much sometimes. When things are going bad, it's like
Sure. But that's a failing you can live with.
Yeah.
But Rashford is probably thinking,
I prefer to
don't run around and I'll save a bit of legs to get the goals that I'm supposed to be in the team for.
Rashford, off his best season, because of a shortage, again, mismanagement of the club, and at the start of a new season was played through the middle and sulked. Here he is at Villa Park, running through the middle.
Yeah, because playing in the middle for Villa is completely different to playing in the middle for United.
Terrible.
Rashford, he stopped competing for headers.
Rashford finally has a manager. This is the first time Marcus Rashford has a manager. He's telling him where to be. He's telling him where the passes are going to come from.
Surprised a man now with your integrity is making this level of excuse.
Because what I'm
player
doing...
who
and
abdicated professionalism.
Because what I'm doing is watching the evidence.
Villa don't even want him.
So, sorry.
How could you ever trust Rashford? So basically what you're saying is, when the going gets tough, and it will at some stage at Aston Villa, you want to sign a player who will down tools when things don't suit him.
I'm saying, I'm watching...
No, answer that point.
I'm watching Rashford at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When everything's
really well.
Yeah.
Villa have lost one match in 11 games. They've won 6 in a row.
So do you think if he got...
You're watching the same thing that you're
one,
saying, but it's not going to keep going.
So do you think if he got one goal in 11 matches against top flight opposition, it wouldn't be talked about? If he goes at Man United and had that return, do you think the stats would be skewed the way they are now? He's got 6 goals involvements and 5 starts or whatever nonsense it is. Like, they'd be hammering the goal thing.
Yeah, he needs to score more goals.
He's a forward.
No, hang on, but you're not judging Jacob Ramsey by that metric. That's the player.
Midfielder, like
that's where Rashford's playing. Rashford's played 2 games up top now. He's played against Preston up top, and he's played against Brighton up top, and he scored 3 goals in 2 games. The only 2 games he played up top. I didn't even realise that point until I just made it.
You can judge him by a different standard because he's playing for Aston Villa, but he shouldn't, because Aston Villa are going for. They're playing PSG next week, so why is he getting judged against a different level at Man United, who, as you said, are 14th?
The Man United manager, the 14th team in the Premier League, said that the goalkeeping coach is more useful than him. Like that's the level I was judging him.
Every United manager has had a problem with
Rashford.
Yeah,
he said if he's not gonna work hard, then I'll sooner put the goalkeeping coach in.
Yeah. And I heard that, and I actually thought, oh God, I don't know if I want Rashford. There was one, I don't know who it was, João Felix Villa were interested in, and I actually said to myself, do you know what? I'd rather have Rashford than João Felix. That's where it was at. And then Rashford came, and he's been brilliant.
We all agree he's been better.
Brilliant, like.
Brilliant,
not true.
Brilliant,
He's
strong.
been brilliant.
He's been good.
Well, you just can't get past the goals. Like Morgan Rogers is also playing the same. He's playing out right now and playing off the striker more. His goal return is based on goal involvements. It's not goals.
Okay, so he's been good. He's been brilliant. Somewhere in between. Let's agree on that. Yeah,
been fine.
But it is an indictment of his professionalism.
That's an argument.
I think
because I was looking, I was looking at Rashford for the last year, and I was thinking, maybe and like because a footballer can't come out and say, "Oh, my body's shot" or "Something's wrong with me," because you're not going to say that. I was thinking it was so bad. I was thinking maybe he's got some serious issues with his body and he just can't close down anymore. Maybe there's got to be something going on. And then, like a light switch, this guy running on a nothing ball the other night, which led to the goal, sprinting the entire length of the pitch from a corner.
Looking for him as well. Like he has
so hungry. But so there was nothing wrong with his body. Yeah. It was actually a player not trying, which is the worst thing you can say about a player. So I would say sign him at your peril.
But he's not fit, but he also has a manager now who's recognising it. So like that's why he's not playing 90 minutes and Emery keeps talking about him not being up to the match fitness, 90-minute match fitness.
Okay, but
that's still a work in progress.
Fine, but he didn't try in the periods he was playing for Manchester United. No one would have a problem if for United he was playing 60 minutes trying.
Oh, sorry, I'm saying that is a bit of an indictment on him. So that's probably him coming not as fit as he should have been at United.
It's attitude. It's attitude.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. So his fitness has gone down because his attitude is down.
If his fitness isn't great for United.
I'm agreeing with you here, by the way.
But say he's only got 50 minutes in and 60 minutes in. He wasn't trying for those 50 minutes. He is trying in those 50 minutes.
Yeah. But I do think as well.
We got to wrap this up. It's getting repetitive.
And I do agree with what you're saying, but you should be more angry. It should be more of an indictment at Man United as well.
No, not
this isn't a Man United thing. This is Marcus Rashford.
It's a Rashford. There's a self-responsibility in life in any job you do.
But you have someone who's thinking if this is where it's gotten to. Like if we play badly, I'm to blame. If I play badly, I'm getting death threats. If I run, I'm not going to get the ball. If I pass the ball, they're not going to keep control of it.
He had a long leash at Man United, Conan. He got a lot of benefit of the doubt that a lot of other lads didn't, because he did some great stuff off the pitch, and that's beyond reproach or whatever. But like compared to how other players were treated when they I think it was the final straw was a long time ago for him at Man United. I would say.
We hadn't even planned to talk about this.
Yeah. I tried to bring it up a few times here.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Listen, in 5 years' time, we'll know one way or the other. Would this a honeymoon thing? Is this a two fingers to United, or is there some inexplicable reason he couldn't try at United and now he'll try for the rest of his career? Maybe.
And I'd be surprised if Villa do keep him, not because they don't want to, but see, it's good. His next move is going to be interesting because that could be the deciding factor.
We'll get a better player for less money.
We've now no time to talk about Derry. Sorry, that's your fault.
You've chosen your
rant.
That's
on you.
You didn't tell me that was
supposed to rant about Rashford and not Derry.
Pick your poison. That's it. We were going to touch on Gareth McKinless's interview during the week. He's out for the season at the moment, basically saying like even when things looked good under Mickey Hart last year, they weren't really good. But he basically came out and said we can't get over losing Rory Gallagher. We're shot. We're shot.
Sad. Yeah.
So sad. It's like, come on.
Oh yeah, I mean sad and like.
Oh sorry.
For sake, move on.
I thought you meant it's very sad for them.
Yeah, no, it's not good. And the frustrating thing here is that you have a team that had 6 All-Stars in 2 years, 6 different All-Stars. So they're a good team. They went and won the National League all without Rory Gallagher, all out on their own. So they know how to come together.
And he's saying of that period, it might have looked good, but it wasn't really.
And like Rory Gallagher obviously did an amazing job with Derry. He's obviously a great coach, but like the players aren't completely reliant on him. But it feels like that's what they think is the case. Like they think they can't do it without Rory Gallagher, and the real shame is that, I mean, you have a team that ready to compete for the All-Ireland, and Gareth McKinless talking